Video today, breaking down another fight. But before I get started, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you turn on them notifications, and make sure you leave a comment down below. Today, we are covering a fight that is taking place in 6 days. On Sunday, February 26th, we are going to see Tommy TNT Fury take on Lord Jake Paul, the greatest boxer to ever walk God's green earth. And I'm going to be breaking it down because I'm really excited about this fight. I love this influencer stuff. I know a lot of people don't like it. I love this shit from the bottom of my heart. It brings back the classic, if you don't like me and I don't like you, we're going to put some gloves on and we're going to figure it out. Put the guns down, put the gloves up, and that's exactly what these guys are doing. Jake Paul has made quite the splash on this scene for the general public. It all started back in 2018 when Jake Paul and Logan Paul got called out by KSI, and Jake's just taking it that step further, you know. He's taking it past that little beef and he's trying to make a career out of it. And that's pretty admirable because this guy could get paid to do pretty much anything and he chooses to fight. So that's pretty cool and it's entertaining. It's a lot better than a YouTube vlog, you know, watching him put it all on the line out there in the ring. I do think that it's a little bit overhyped, the amount of credit that people are giving him for the wins that he's had. A lot of people are saying, you know, oh, it's about time to consider Jake a real boxer. I don't really think so. I mean, he beat 47-year-old Anderson Silva, 47 years old, mixed martial artist his entire life. And you can say he beat Chavez Jr., but Chavez Jr. was washed too, so it is what it is. He beat Tyron Woodley, a guy who came up as a wrestler, also 40 years old, also fought at 170 pounds in the UFC, not a boxer at all. And then anything prior to that is obviously very, very minor that Jake Paul was able to do. So I don't even need to go past that. And Tommy Fury is from a family of fighting men. Tyson Fury is one of the baddest heavyweights of all time, right up there with the Muhammad Ali's, with the George Foremans, and anybody else you can think of. Tyson Fury is right there with them. Tyson Fury is by far the best heavyweight of this generation. And you have John Fury, who is also a fighting man in his day, and is pretty much a fighting man today. You say something John Fury don't like, and he's going to come across the table and do something about it. So that leaves Tommy, who was on Love Island, a reality TV show, and, you know, is an 8-0 professional boxer, but really has only had one fight that I would say was against somebody who was pretty good. That was the Grant dude. I think it was Jordan Grant. I don't remember his first name. But, yeah, that's probably the only fight I've seen from Tommy that was actually against somebody who posed a little bit of a threat. So Tommy's had a pretty easy run, as has Jake. So now we're going to be basically talking about this fight. So going into this fight, I think that this might be unpopular, but I think this fight says more about where Tommy's at than it does where Jake's at. I think Jake, if he was to beat Tommy Fury, it's really not that big of a test in hindsight, you know what I mean? But if Tommy Fury were to lose to Jake Paul, that's not good. You have his family saying that they would disown him. Obviously, they're joking. Everybody that's taking that literally needs to chill. But that is very real in the sense that you're not going to be anything as a boxer if you can't beat Jake Paul. Jake Paul started boxing almost 5 years ago, not even 5 years ago, and you've been doing this your entire life surrounded by your world champion brother and your trainer of a dad. And if you lose to Jake Paul, then you're done. Your dream is done. You are not going to be a world champion one day. You are not going to do anything impressive in the sport of boxing, so you might as well just close it on out. So I think that the pressure's more so on Tommy. And one thing I will say is that Jake deals with pressure tremendously. That's one thing I can give Jake. Jake has fought in a main event several times now at this point, and every time has came out loose, ready to go, and did his thing. He didn't freeze in the moment. He could have very well frozen against Tyron Woodley. At that time was looked at as a pretty big, solid test for him. A guy that's still in talks to maybe fight KSI, Tyron Woodley. Jake went out there, did his thing, calm, cool, and collected. Even stayed composed after he got cracked with that big punch that sent him through the ropes. And then he just fought Anderson Silva on another card that they headlined. Jake can deal with pressure well. Tommy Fury has never been a main event, and he's never really been the center of attention in terms of his own inner circle. So now all hands are on deck for Tommy Fury in a Saudi Arabia main event against Jake Paul, the problem child, the one who everybody wants to see lose. It all falls on Tommy. Can he deal with the pressure? That's a question. So now I'm going to get into the breakdown of the actual fight. One thing I like about Tommy is that he is a guy who loves to feint a lot. He feints, he's constantly twitching, constantly moving, constantly giving you something. He doesn't just stand in front of you. He's always giving you something to think about. And it's a lot like how his brother Tyson Fury fights. Tyson Fury fights in that same way. The only difference between Tyson and Tommy is that Tyson is 19 feet tall. So Tommy is the same height as his opponent most of the time. And I feel like that causes him to get hit by some shots that Tyson wouldn't be getting hit by in that style that they fight in. And like I said before, Tommy only fought one guy that really was any kind of a puncher at all. And he got hit with a couple clean right hands. Like, he definitely got caught with some stuff. And, if that Grant fella had a little bit more power to him, like Jake does, like Jake's proven to have, then that could have been some issues, you know what I mean? Especially due to the fact that Tommy Fury has never went 8 rounds. Tommy Fury has never been in a long, drawn-out fight like that. Whereas Jake has a 6th round knockout over Tyson Fury, over Tyron Woodley, and he has a 8th round knockdown against Anderson Silva. So obviously Jake can carry his power into the later rounds, something Tommy needs to worry about. But some things that I'll say about Jake is that Tommy has been in the gym for a long, long time. He's seen a long lineage of fighters in the gym come through. And Jake throws very simple combinations. Jake has a very poor jab. Jake throws a lot of just simple body head. He'll jab to the body and then throw across to the face. Jake's not a very complex fighter. Jake's not a very good boxer, you guys. You have to keep this in mind. Jake, we're wondering where the level of Tommy is, and we're going to find out on Sunday, but Jake is not very good. He just started. That's not a slight on him. People that did this their entire life are going to be better than him at the basics, at the fundamentals, and they learn how to cut angles in a different way, and Jake's just not that guy. So he uses simple combinations. His footwork is poor. He lunges with his jabs. He's not good at closing the distance. It's just pretty sloppy on Jake's end. He's been able to get away with it because he's fighting guys that are at a very, very slow pace. And that may be why Jake's able to go 8 rounds a lot of times, because literally nobody Jake has ever fought that actually had something to present to him fought him at a fast pace. Nobody tried to stay in his chest. Nobody tried to walk him down. Nobody's kept him active the entire time. The first Tyron Woodley fight, Tyron Woodley practically just stood there and even when he landed a big shot, he just stood there. He didn't do anything. The second Tyron Woodley fight, literally, it was like, I go, you go, I go, you go. Jake went, Tyron went. Jake went, Tyron went. It was just so slow pace, and they were basically waiting for each other, taking turns. And then the Anderson Silva fight, Anderson was trying to put a little bit of pressure, but he really didn't. He really didn't throw a lot of punches, even though he was trying to move towards Jake. He didn't throw anything. Like, Jake has never been in front of somebody that is actually presenting him with a fast-paced fight, something that KSI may do in the future, and we'll definitely get into that fight soon. I think immediately after this Tommy Fury Jake Paul fight, I'm gonna make a breakdown video about that, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, the only guys that ever put pressure on Jake were guys that were not in his league at all. And Isan Gibb at the time was not half the fighter Isan Gibb is today, and Jake put him right away with a counter shot. Nate Robinson was running towards Jake, but fucking obviously Jake's gonna knock him out. And then Ben Askren, who's the worst boxer of all time. I promise you, I would knock Ben Askren out if I fought him. I'm dead serious. He's terrible. So none of the guys that actually had anything to present to Jake ever put pressure on him. So yeah. But the thing is, Tommy can put pressure on Jake, but I don't know if he's going to be able to, for the simple fact that he's so hittable. Jake can counter-strike. Jake's not good off the back foot, but Jake may meet Tommy in the middle. And if he does that, I think that Tommy's going to get hit with some big stuff. I could see Tommy puzzling Jake with that jab for quite a while. I could see Tommy definitely, winning some rounds early, banking some rounds early. But the problem is, Tommy's a big, muscular dude, and he's even shown to slow down in the fights that he's had so far. So imagine what he's going to do in round 6, 7, 8 of this fight with all the pressure, all the people watching. Because it's a proven fact that if you feel nerves and you feel pressure, it goes straight to your legs. Goes straight to your legs. And he's going to be nervous. No matter what he says, he's going to be nervous. Because he cannot lose to Jake. All the things that Jake has said about him, the baby stuff, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, I think you should leave children out of the fight hype. But, he's trying to break the news of his baby coming out. He's trying to comment on the pictures of Tommy and his baby. He's been talking smack about Tommy for years and years and years now. Tommy's going to feel a lot of pressure in there. Like, I have to take this dude out. You know what I mean? Because if he doesn't, if he winds up losing to Jake Paul, he's done. It's over for him. And Jake, on the other hand, if he happens to lose to Tommy, it's really not that big of a deal. Jake can just go back into the influencer scene and probably dominate most guys. He could still have that huge KSI fight, and then he could still fight other guys, and he could even find his way back into a rematch with Tommy. They have a rematch clause after all. He could find his way right into a rematch with Tommy if he chooses to pick up on that rematch clause. So I think all the pressure's on Tommy Fury. I've told you guys the ins and outs of the things I'm thinking of pertaining to this fight. So now it's time to get down to the prediction. I am taking Jake Paul to win this fight. I think Tommy Fury is the better boxer by far as technique and fundamentals go. But it worries me, first of all, how riled up Tommy seems. And secondly, it worries me how hittable Tommy seems. Tommy was getting hit by that Grant fella. Tommy did get hit a few times by Anthony Taylor, who's a much shorter man who Tommy should have dominated. And Jake Paul has power. That's the one thing out of everything that you could say about Jake Paul that you have to give him credit for. He has power. He's proven it time and time again. He can put you unconscious. And for those reasons, paired with the fact that Jake's been 8 rounds multiple times now and Tommy never has been, I'm going with Jake Paul. I would say if I had to choose a method, I think he would TKO. I really do. I could see a decision, but if I had to pick a method, I would lean towards a TKO. I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the earlier rounds, but I would say probably a TKO in the second half of the fight would be my guess. So that's how I feel about this fight coming up. I'm pumped for it. Can't wait. And yeah, so make sure you guys hit that sub button. Hit it. Hit it. It takes 1 second. Just hit it. Come on. And hit the like button too. Comment down below. Tell me who you guys think is going to win this fight. And let me know any thoughts you have pertaining to maybe videos I should do in the future or anything that you can think of, really. Thank you guys. I'll see you later.